Hello again, this is Brother Teacher. I just found out not too long ago concerning Joan Rivers, the comedian slash actress, who I have known of and have enjoyed, and many of us for many decades. Very strong personality in entertainment, especially in the comedy world, and pretty much has always said what was on her mind. And Joan Rivers died or passed away in 2014. And about a week or so ago, I was uh, kind of surfing the internet for a subject matter or what have you, and I came across some information about uh, a statement that Joan Rivers had made to a reporter, or a group of reporters for that matter, about the president uh, and something having to do with a gay president in office. And then Joan Rivers responded, well, we already have that in Obama. Okay. First flag went up. And as she continued, while she was hurriedly trying to go up the steps to a meeting she had, she said, everyone knows Michelle, talking about Obama's wife, is a trainee. And so the news reporter asked her again, excuse me, what did you say? He said, everyone knows that Michelle is a trainee. In other words, she's a transsexual. She's not a woman, she's a man. So it was interesting to hear Joan Rivers say that. But let me back up just a little bit and say this. That's not the first time that I've heard those allegations that Michelle Obama was indeed a man. Excuse the term indeed. I'm not saying that she is, but it's not the first time that I heard that. As a matter of fact, it was numerous times before this particular uh, media broadcast, I should say, for lack of a better word. But anyway, I began to research this, and I saw where there were many YouTube channels, many other various sources that were saying the same thing, that Michelle Obama is actually a man and not a woman. Also, they said that President Obama was gay, and that there was even a video of a Caucasian woman who knew him intimately when he was a child, and she verified that he was gay because he lived in the neighborhood with her, basically. And then there was another gentleman who swore that Obama was gay. And then there were other videos that was pointing out the masculinity of Michelle Obama as it relates to that of a man versus a woman's masculinity, or femininity, if you will. So they showed the body structure, and they showed different angles by which Michelle sat, stood, walked, her hairstyle, the way in which her makeup was on, the way she dressed, baggy pants. And there were even shots, camera shots that is, of what was supposed to have been the protrusion, I'm sorry, of a penis. I can't verify that, but it was not just a handful of videos. This was a plethora of videos from different sources saying that Michelle's real name is Michael. I won't give the last name right now because it's not important. I'll leave it in the description, if you will, for you to look it up on your own. But said that Michelle Obama's real name was Michael, that he's a transsexual. Uh, he and Obama got married early on, of course, before the White House, before Obama was ever elected as the president, and that the two children that they have are not their biological children, they are indeed adopted children. That's something to wrap your brain around. Now, you can do your due diligence and you can look this up on your own. But understand this, and I've told people this for years, and I continue to stand on this. Don't go to one soundbite. Don't go to one page or address on the web or one video and assume everything just based on that one source. Scour around. Do some legitimate, in-depth research, and then you can come up with your own conclusion. Okay? Now, this is what I want you to look at, that several flags came up in my mind. Joan, in that interview, that quick interview with the reporters, she was walking up the steps. They asked her, and she said Obama was gay and Michelle was a transsexual, and she said everybody knows that. This was in July of 2014. Approximately a month to a month and a half, which would have been in August, Joan's daughter got a phone call that they were rushing her mother to the hospital. Mount Sinai, I believe it was. And she had to have a endoscopy procedure. And from the information that I ascertained, they said that one of her handlers came in, a person who professed to have been one of her doctors, came into the procedure while the other doctors were performing the endoscopy on Joan. And the doctors that was performing the procedure on Joan Rivers did not stop the other doctor from coming in and performing basically an operation. He did a biopsy in her neck, in her throat, down her throat. He did a biopsy. That's not what the procedure called for. She came there for a endoscopy procedure. And this unknown doctor, who was part of her so-called handlers, came in and performed this biopsy. And then Joan could not breathe. She was not able to breathe. And then they had to place her under a medically induced coma to care for her. Now, mind you, she's like 81 years old at the time. But before this procedure ever took place, according to Joan Rivers' daughter, they had a perfectly fine conversation the night before. And mother was, as mother always is, she didn't say that she had any physical ailments or issues at all. And back up to July, mid-July 2014, when she was talking to the reporters on those steps, she seemed to be perfectly healthy. But fast forward about 6 weeks later, approximately, she's undergoing a biopsy in her throat region. Then she can't breathe. She's placed in a medically induced coma. in early September, Joan Rivers is dead. Wow. I want to say go figure. That might not be the right expression. But what do you think about that? Do you honestly think, and I want you to please leave a comment, do you think that there's a faction, there's an element that represents the Obamas that killed Joan Rivers? That's what I'm trying to say. Do you think by virtue of what the statement was to the media as it relates to Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, because of what Joan Rivers said, do you think she was murdered as a result of making that statement? I want your honest, I won't say opinion, I want your honest viewpoint. Would you please do that for me? I'm curious as to what you see and what you think. Now, I will say this also, and I'm not making a declaration, but I will say this, and I have said this in time past, things are not always what they appear. Do you think that the world as you see it through your own two eyes is what it really is? Or are we really in some form of a matrix, and that we are seeing what they want us to see? And I will say this also. You can put on makeup and you can be made up to look virtually like any sex you want to look like. If you look at the transsexual community, if you watched the Maury show, Maury Povich, he has had many transgenders on his show over the years. And even though I could pick out most of them versus the females, there were some that fooled me and fooled a lot of people. So, with that, who's to say that it can't be true what Joan Rivers said? Who's to say that? But we have to understand what cloth you're cut from. I mean, the whole United States of America is nothing more than a game board, and we are indeed the pieces. And if you don't know that by now, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I know you want to believe that this is one nation under God. It really is the whole world under God, the Creator, Yahweh. But when they say one nation under God, is it talking about the same God? Or is it something else? Okay? I'll probably make this video part 1, because I have a feeling that there may be necessity dictating a part 2, because this is sort of troubling to me. I find it sort of a coincidence, if you don't, that Joan Rivers died less than 60 days after making a statement against Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. So, this is Brother Teacher. Thank you for watching my videos. I look forward to your comments or correspondence, if you will. And may Yahweh again forever bless you and yours. And I'll see you in the next video. So long.